Let's talk about Aaliyah's first album.
If it wasn't for oh.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, I wanted to talk about Aaliyah's first album. If you haven't checked it out, I talked about Aaliyah's second album, One in a Million, and her self-titled. I'm going to leave the links up here and in the description so you can check those out. But basically, I want to talk about Aaliyah's first album because this will complete the trilogy. This is where we were first introduced to Aaliyah. This is where we first got to figure out who she was as an artist, how she looked, her sound, and this was like, where we all fell in love with her at the young age of 15. But she recorded most of this when she was 14. But still, I wanted to just go over the album and go over my thoughts about it and what are your thoughts about the album, and just basically discuss what did y'all like about the album, what did y'all dislike about the album, and where you felt like the promotion or whatever could have been a little better. Let's talk about it. The album was titled Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And I decided to talk about this album also because this May made 25 years since the album's been released. I feel like 25 years for an album and it's still talked about and stuff like that, and it's still legendary and still people love it. 25 years is a great amount of time for an album to still be in people's rotation and still be in people's, playlist. And Aaliyah's voice was so beautiful on this album. For her to people realize Aaliyah recorded most of this album when she was 14 years old. 14 years old. Some of these songs she sounded like a grown woman, to the point where before this album came out, right, R.Kelly had Aaliyah featured on some of his songs before people even know who Aaliyah was. So people thought that Aaliyah was a grown woman until this came out, and it was like, wait, wasn't that the girl that was on that song he did like a year ago? It turned out that was Aaliyah at 14 years old. So if anything, this was our introduction to Aaliyah's style and her, this was our introduction to Aaliyah's singing style, the smoothness, the, effortless singing that she did. As the years progressed, she still had that essence of that smooth singing, but she showed more of her vocal range, more of her vocal talent. With R. Kelly, with this album, I feel like R. Kelly tried to make him, with this album, I feel like R. Kelly tried to make Aaliyah like the young female version of himself. So it's like he wrote and produced the songs, but it was like the, I guess you could say, the more like feminine version of the songs he would have made for himself. You know what I'm saying? And for Aaliyah to just be 14 years old when she did this, it's like legendary, to be honest. Now, just think about it. When you was 14, what were you doing? When I was 14, I was just in high school, living life, whatever. Aaliyah was literally recording an album that would go on and be a part of R&B history at the age 14. And then, she came out, the album came out when she was 15, and that's when you saw the videos and stuff like that. But 14 years old, who knew at 14 years old Aaliyah was going to be a part of R&B history 25 years later? Fortunately, as we all know, this album is currently like the only one really available on like streaming platforms. If you wanted to, you could get Aaliyah's other 2 albums or her other 3 albums, but it's like the process to get in there is like maybe eBay, Amazon. But as far as like official releases, like Spotify, Apple Music, things like that, this is like the only album really available like that. You know what I'm saying? Also, like in stores, because I remember as far as like 2 years ago going to Best Buy and Target and seeing this album on the shelves. Her other 2 albums, nowhere to be found. And I don't even think they even make copies of them no more. But this album is still in stores. And also Urban Outfitters, they had like the vinyl records of this album. I remember like maybe 3 years ago, they were selling the vinyls of this. So this is one of the only basically the only album really available for like Aaliyah fans to really go out and get, like for like as an official release, like, you know what I'm saying? that counts towards like her streams and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, this album was great. For it to, this was like our introduction to Aaliyah, right? So for this to be like the only representation that many people who want to like look up Aaliyah on Spotify, this is the only album they get to listen to. It's kind of like, it's like a bittersweet type of feeling for like the real fans who know Aaliyah's full body of work. But you know, hopefully in time that will get resolved. So let's talk about the album, like the promotion, official releases, things like that. I feel like this promotion for this album was pretty good, and I wish they followed this for her next two. But you know, Back and Forth was like the first introduction to Aaliyah, like the main official first single, first release, first video, and that was a great choice. The video was nice. This was an introduction to Aaliyah. You can see, oh, okay, she's like a tomboy type of chick. She had everybody, and like she was dancing to everybody, and everybody was in a basketball court dancing, and it was back and forth. She had the little dance moves to go with it. You know what I'm saying? So that was a nice introduction to Aaliyah. The nice beat. R.Kelly had his little verse, and her smooth singing on that nice beat would build up like Aaliyah's, how can you say? The smooth singing on the hip hop New Jack Swing type of beat would be like, that would build up like Aaliyah's artistry, like how she would be known for like the rest of her career to come. She would come with the hard-hitting beats, producers that would get them hard-hitting beats, but have Aaliyah's seductive, smooth vocals on it, and nice hooks, and you know, real melodic. That was like her artistry. But then every now and then again, she would change it. But you know what I'm saying. Then the next single was "At Your Best, You Are Love," which was another dope single to release. And I know there was like two versions. I call like the slower version. I call like the slower version. I call that the lullaby version. And then you got like the real hip hop remix version. And to be honest, they both, to me, some people have a favorite. They both were equally great to me. The thing is, it's just which version of "At Your Best" are you in the mood to listen to at that time? The lullaby version, or you want to hear like the upbeat, more hip hop version of it? And to be honest, both of those songs went top 10, and both of those songs, the first two singles were top 10 on the pop charts, and Back and Forth were number 1 on the R&B charts. At Your Best were number 2 on the R&B charts. Basically the same thing. So as far as like that was a really good way of introducing Aaliyah to the masses. But then I'm thinking about it, I'm looking at it, and it says that AJ Nothing But a Number, which was his third single to be released, it got a lot of radio play, but for some reason it only went to number 75 on the pop charts, and I'm like, really? Now this album came out a year before I was born, so it's like, okay, I don't really know how much play it was getting, but I feel like I even hear it on the radio sometimes now, so I'm like, damn, 75? I would have thought it would at least make like top 20. But, and again, you know, like Aaliyah would say, like the audiences are fickle. Even though that was a dope song, it was like, it only went to number 75 on the charts. But that's not really, some things are out of the artist's control. When you release a song, you know it's dope, some fans know it's dope, but it's like, will the radio play it a lot? Will the fans really get it? But other than that, the song was really dope. And then after that, they released 2 more singles. They released Down With The Click and The Thing I Like, but those were like international releases. And I'm like, okay, Down With The Click, that was a dope song. I could have seen Down With The Click being released in America, but you know, I guess they wanted to like play towards what they thought certain countries or areas would like to listen to the most. So I guess that's why they made them only international releases. But I could see Down With The Click being released in America and going at least like top 40. And I'm noticing, I never noticed before, but just see how R.Kelly is in the back right here. And this is the main image, right, of Aaliyah, right? But then you turn it around, and he's in the same position on the back cover. I never noticed that. I'm like, wow. And it's like, okay, we get it. We know R.Kelly wrote and produced the whole, like he literally wrote and produced the whole album. But it's like, damn. He was going to make sure he got his credit for this. Like he was all, and you know, that's the thing. You know, people feel like that's why the album is tainted because of the stuff that would later come out and how they were so close and hanging together and the, you know, the marriage license, blah blah blah. But you can't deny that this album has some great music on it and great production on it.
My opinion, right? Okay. Now,
So looking back on it, 25 years later, this was a great introduction to Aaliyah. It would have been better without all the controversy surrounding it. And you know, R.Kelly got his ways, but he did hook Aaliyah up on his album. He gave her some nice songs, some nice beats, and for the most part, the lyrics were cool. Because of the age thing, that made a big deal. People made a big deal about it, and it is a big deal because we all know what would happen later on down the line. But from a fan perspective, just listening to the music, this was a great introduction to Aaliyah, and it was a perfect segue for what was to come of her career. One of my favorite songs on this album were Back and Forth, AJ Nothing But a Number, Down with the Click, At Your Best You Are Love, both versions. I'm So Into You, Street Thing, Young Nation, and Old School. What were y'all favorite tracks from this album? And what did y'all think about the album, the promotion, and the beats, the songs? And do you think this was a great introduction to Aaliyah like I thought it was? Let me know in the comments. Leave your thoughts. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell down below so you can always see when I post. And thank you for watching. I'll see y'all in the next video.